Whether you're clued into the reality of climate change yet or not, you're going to want to pay attention because these new numbers about some of the possible consequences of climate change between now and 2099 will make for one hell of a conversation starter. Now, they're based on the fact that we know there's a long-established relationship between temperature and certain forms of violent crime. As the temperature goes up, so too do certain forms of violent crime. Now, based on information coming from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's warming projections between now and 2099, we can expect an additional 22,000 murders, 180,000 cases of rape, 1.2 million aggravated assaults, 2.3 million simple assaults, 260,000 robberies, 1.3 million burglaries, 2.2 million cases of larceny, and 580,000 cases of vehicle theft in the United States. Now, yes, between now and 2099, there's going to be a lot of those anyway, and yes, this is a small portion of that, something like 2.2% increase in murder, 3.1% increase in rape, for instance. But that's still a lot of people. Thousands, or in some cases even millions more victims should be able to, based on this information, be traced back to the increased temperatures caused by climate change. Now, of course, it's difficult to establish a firm link between the increased temperature and exactly which ones it's causing, but that doesn't mean that it isn't causing something. We understand that as the economy gets worse, more violent crime will happen as well, and our inability to link the worsening economy to a particular rape, a particular murder, a particular case of Grand Theft Auto, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be something that we are worried about, and it certainly does not mean that it isn't something that we should do something to forestall if we're at all able. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to have problems with these projections. You don't have to trust the projections necessarily. You certainly don't have to trust that there will be 22,000 extra murders. Maybe it'll be 25, maybe it'll be 10,000, but it's still something that we should worry about. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is not because I necessarily care whether it's 22,000 or some other number, just that we are dealing with a very complex system, and I want people, whether they understand and agree with the science behind global climate change or are still maintaining their denial position, to understand that the world is an incredibly complex system, and when you mess with something like temperature, you can have effects in something as seemingly disparate or seemingly disconnected as vehicle theft or homicides or rapes or assaults or whatever. And this isn't the only case where you can see this. If you, for instance, cut food stamps, people are going to be hungrier. That will have effects beyond just how many calories people are consuming. When you cut assistance perhaps for education and people don't get the education they need to, for instance, get a good job or go to college, those people will go out and lead very different lives than they otherwise would have. When you mess with fundamental variables like funding for education, food stamps, or perhaps, yes, even global temperatures, there will be very wide-ranging socio-economic, sociological consequences, and we need to be prepared for those. Yes, obviously this is complicated, and it would be to your credit and to your benefit to look into the data yourself before deciding one way or another. But there are consequences to global climate change. It goes beyond just how hot it is. It goes beyond just how much rainfall we get. It could affect something as fundamental as how much crime we have in our society, how much international war we see. The effects are widespread. They go around our entire globe. Learn as much as you can, because this is something that unfortunately looks like we will not be able to escape.